Hmm. Hello, guys. Let me make sure this is working real quick. Looks like it's all good. All right, I'm gonna give this a shot. I'm gonna talk to you about the upcoming fantasy season, and I'll try and talk about what's changed. Uh, I'm gonna just go through the rankings a little bit, and then I'll use that as like a springboard for me to talk about what's changed for certain teams. All right. So the beginning of the draft, it looks very similar to the past. All right. So we got Jamar Chase seems to be like the universal number one pick. Let me see if I could shrink this a little bit. All right. Jamar Chase at one. Nothing's really changing there. The Bengals defense is still really bad. They didn't really improve their offensive line, but it's still Jamar Chase. It's still T. Higgins, who's like a late second, early third rounder. And Chase Brown, who's the new running back there, who like broke out last year. He'll be like a late second, early third round pick as well. One of the better mid-range running backs. Okay, Saquon is going to be one of the harder decisions to make for fantasy this year because since he got a ridiculous amount of touches, over 400, going all the way deep into the Super Bowl. Um, Historically, running backs fall off a little bit the next year. There's like a 500-yard drop off from their previous year. Not saying it's like a guaranteed injury, but a guaranteed decline. I mean, if he's not just anybody, so maybe he can endure another super long, heavy usage year. But even if he does decline a little bit, he's still a top five running back. So I don't feel like he's gonna go number two. I feel like by the time draft season comes around, it's really gonna be Bijan or Bijan. Um, he's still young. He's got no injury history as of right now. He's the Falcons' lead running back, and he also can catch passes, which will help you get some extra reception points. Jameer Gibbs. So what you need to know about the Lions is that maybe this is like a start of a decline for them. They got rid of their offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, who went to the Chicago Bears. They got rid of their defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn, I think, and he went to the Jets to be their head coach. And also they lost their center Frank Ragnow, who's been like their center for God knows how long. So their offensive line is going to change. Their like brilliant offensive play calling might be gone. I don't know if like they're just going to be as good as before, but people expect them to change a little bit. Gibbs is just a super elusive running back, and I think he deserves to be right here in the first half of the first round. Justin Jefferson, he's going to be playing with a rookie quarterback this season. J.J. McCarthy got hurt in the beginning of last year, and we never saw him really build any rapport with Jefferson. And also, Jefferson right now is nursing a mild hamstring injury. He's supposed to be fine for the regular season start, but something to watch. And also his wide receiver two, Jordan Addison, is going through some legal drama right now, and we don't know if he's going to get suspended, which would help maybe Justin Jefferson. I don't know how that works. Okay, CeeDee Lamb is penciled in as like the number three wide receiver off the board, but some people like CeeDee Lamb more than Jefferson this year because his situation is not as rocky. And you should know the Cowboys have changed things around a little bit. Their defense is like starting to look bad on paper, so that means they're going to have to throw more. And they got George Pickens from the Steelers, so now it's going to be CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. And George Pickens looks to be like a very, very sneaky mid, like I don't know, fourth, fifth round pick this year. He's like a deep threat, so that's probably going to help CeeDee Lamb get a lot more easy targets. So yeah, look out for George Pickens in the mid rounds. I think he's like a really high upside wide receiver two pick. McCaffrey is the second very difficult decision you have to make this year in the first round of our league because there's Saquon with the projected drop off, and then there's McCaffrey who has chronic Achilles tendonitis, and He's 30 years old now, and if there's nothing wrong and he plays a full season, you probably got yourself a top three running back. But he could also that tendon could fire up again, and your season's lost. Even his if you want to like play the handcuff game, Isaac Garendo is his backup, and he right now has like a an injury, so you can't like secure that backfield for sure. So McCaffrey's a very risky, high risk, high reward pick in the first round. Puka Nakua finds his way into the first round. Um, Now you need to understand Puka Nakua is probably like a top three receiver when on the field, and you just need to be worried about that knee a little bit. He missed 6 games last year, but he put up ridiculous numbers when he was there. And Matt Stafford is out right now dealing with some back injury. It's not like something that they expect to be a problem, but he's super old. He can get hit wrong once and just be like, you know what, let's call it a career. So Puka Nakua, and now he has Devonte Adams on the Rams. So it's gonna be Puka and Devonte. Really, really, really good receiving group. But, it's just Puka's got the knee, Matt Stafford's got the age. There's like a lot of variables in play there. But I mean, if you're, it's just another high risk, high reward pick here. Uh, St. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown. People look at this pick and think, oh, like if I want to get a receiver that's safe, he's just like a guy that's going to get like 8 targets, 9 targets a game, and you lock it in. But we'll see if the offensive scheme changes. It feels like he's like low risk, medium reward. He's like it's like not a fun pick. All right, Derrick Henry goes right back to being the Ravens starter. He's older now, but time is not a factor for him. Um, More of the same. He's just going to run through that offense. So he's not competing with anybody. Uh, all right. Ashton Genty. So we got to talk about the Raiders here for a second. So Genty is the top running back rookie, and he's projected to just jump right into the starting job with the Raiders, and he's a freak of nature. He was averaging over 2,500 yards a season in college. The only thing is that he's a Raider, and you're like, oh, that sucks. But they got Geno Smith now, and it's going to be Genty and running back, and Brock Bowers, who is the best rookie tight end last year, who's legit. So Genty going at the end of the first round in fantasy is not rich. I mean, I totally understand it. Malik Neighbors on the Giants. So this is his sophomore year coming up, and he really exploded already, even though he had like awful quarterback play last year. And this year they improved with Russell Wilson a little bit, before you had like Tommy DeVito throwing to him and some other guys. But, he's super explosive. He's going to be highly targeted. He's already dealing with like a toe thing, which seems to not be a major problem, and a shoulder thing, but it's not nothing major, but it might like be like a nagging thing. Super young, high upside pick. Nico Collins, uh, you know, Texans took a step back last year. I mean, everyone was like wanted a piece of CJ Stroud, wanted a piece of Nico Collins, and they took a huge step back, but that didn't really stop Nico Collins. He looked to be like an amazing big play receiver. He's huge. He's 28 years old. Um, the Texans did not fix their offensive line concerns, but they took some rookie wide receivers like Jaden Higgins, I believe the name is. I don't know anything about. He's not like a highly regarded pick or anything. All right. So yeah, Nico, these like late round, you're looking at like the tail end of the first round here. You got to pick between Derrick Henry, Genty, and then these like this grouping of sophomore receivers that are just like they look to be amazing, but like it's so hard to say which one is better than the next. Neighbors, Nico is not a sophomore, but Nico, all right, Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., who last year was a rookie from LSU. For a little while, he was just kind of like quietly getting a touchdown a game. And then you just realized, oh, this is like a top 5 receiver. Like, what are we doing here? So Jaguars are now loaded. All right, they got Brian Thomas Jr. and they got Travis Hunter. We don't know if Travis Hunter is going to be playing receiver 100% of the time or 50-50 wide receiver and then corner, but this like wide receiver group is pretty much top five now. Brian Thomas Jr. I really like the pick, but it feels like a reach. But I take that back. It's not a reach. It's just really hard to say who's better. Neighbors, Collins, Brian Thomas. It's hard to pick them apart. I do worry a bit about Nico Collins' soft tissue injury, and Neighbors is already like nursing mild injuries. But I mean, everyone's got a small reason not to pick them. You've got Achan at the tail end of the first round, early second. When he and Tua are both healthy, he's one of the best running backs in football because of his receiving usage and his elite speed. But the Dolphins are just, I don't know. I don't know how, like, I hear other analysts talk about the Dolphins and they're excited. Like, why? Why are you excited? Like, nothing's really changing. Tyreek Hill's coming back and he's like, I don't know, he's stupid. Not a fan. Um, but yeah, this is another high risk, high reward pick. Josh Jacobs, you're pretty much drafting Josh Jacobs at his ceiling right here. If you're drafting him early second, he had a very, very good end of the season last year for the Packers. He was just getting a bunch of touchdowns, but you are drafting him for his ceiling at this price. I feel like he's more of like an early third. I don't think that he deserves to be here, honestly, but I do. I mean, I love the player, but the price, Brock Bowers, I talked about him earlier when I was talking about Ashton Genty, elite tight end pick. There's only like two or three tight ends right now, and then there's a bunch of guys, and you cannot like argue who is better than the others after these guys. So there's Brock Bowers, who has like he's used like a receiver. And then there's Trey McBride on the Cardinals, and he was used like he was getting like 9, 10 catches a game, but very few touchdowns last year. Everyone expects him to score more touchdowns. But some people say McBride is better than Bowers. Some say it's the other way around. But after these two, it's like these two, elite. Then there's like Kittle, very good. And then there's a bunch of guys, and God knows when they should be taken in the draft. So if you want an elite tight end, you're going to have to do it in the second round. And then you take Kittle in like the late third, or you just wait forever. Okay? But, you got to understand Kittle's over 30. He's like 32 now or something. I don't even know. But he's old. He had a great season last year, so his like price tag is higher than spam call. Okay, Jonathan Taylor continues to he's just such an unsexy pick, but he's a very good running back on a very bad team with a running quarterback. I got nothing to add. Bucky Irving, the running back for Tampa Bay. So Tampa Bay, what you need to know about Tampa Bay is, Baker Mayfield threw for 40 touchdowns or something last year, which made him like a very, very good fantasy asset. Um, Mike Evans turns like 31. He's continues to find a way to get 1,000 yards every season and a million touchdowns. But for if you're taking the Buccaneers players, there's a few things I want to touch on. First thing is that they lost their offensive coordinator. He went on to be the coach for the Jaguars, Liam Cohen. So their offensive playmaking may not look the same. And also their starting offensive lineman, Tristan Wirfs, who people think is like one of the most important players in the league for offensive line. He will be missing probably the first 4 or 5 weeks of the regular season. So that's like protection problems for Mayfield, protection problems for Bucky Irving, but everyone loves Bucky Irving now as like a late, he's one of like the top running backs, and we'll see if he's able to continue what he was doing last year. He kind of stole the job from Rashad White, who was like a very boring, inefficient running back. Drake London, the star receiver for the Falcons, highly targeted. I feel like he can deserve to go even higher here, in my opinion. I feel like he's like a end of the first, beginning of the second type of pick. I mean, this is still like second round, But yeah, it's all up to Michael Penix Jr. AJ Brown continues to be, he's an elite wide receiver on a team that just does not throw it that often. They don't have to. They got Saquon and they have a great defense. So every once in a while he'll have a big game, but it's kind of inconsistent, and he's injured right now, like a hamstring thing. So keep that in mind when you take AJ Brown. I mean, you see the name and you're like, oh, what the fuck's he doing here? No, but he's got some issues for sure. Uh, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. People project them to just continue their dominance, and if you're feeling like taking them, you're gonna have to pay like late second, early first, early third price for them. Their offenses don't change too much, but you need to know Khalil Shakir is like dealing with a high ankle sprain. So that was like his best intermediate target. But I'm sure they'll find a way to score no matter who's on the field. Chase Brown, I talked about him a little bit earlier. Bengals running back. He doesn't really have any competition now, and he also is a receiving threat. I feel like he can go a little earlier than this, possibly. Lad McConkey, sophomore receiver, lead target on the Chargers with Justin Herbert. Man, he broke out at the end of last season. Very interesting pick. I think he's legit. Kyron Williams, someone that I personally am a hater about, and I was wrong about last year, but I still won't pick him. I feel like he's a running back in a really good situation. He doesn't do anything crazy, but he just finds a way to keep falling into the end zone for touchdowns. He's not like a big play threat. Um, I just see him as like just a guy, you know. Is he just a guy in a great position? Sure, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem fun. It seems like someone else can step in and do the same thing, and that makes him like a little risky. Trey McBride, I told you he was a fringe one or two top best tight ends in fantasy. Um, if you want to take him, you got to pay this price. Jaden Daniels continues to be. This is going to be his sophomore year, and he was ridiculous in his first year. What you need to know about the Commanders is that Terry McLaurin is having a contract holdout, and yeah, so if he's not there, I don't know who Jaden Daniels is going to throw to. They did acquire Debo, but Debo is like, I don't see him as that like consistent guy that we thought he was like 2 years ago or something. But they really don't have great receiving help if McLaurin's not there. Tyreek Hill in the mid third, mid second, whatever. What is it? I don't even know where we are. I think it's the third. All right. This price is fair for him. If he is healthy and he stays on the field and he finds a way to get open, he deserves to go here before he was the second overall pick. If you want to take the risk on him, I would totally understand it for this price. Jackson Smith and Jigba. All right, he like started to look really good at the end of last season. Started to get used so often, became like the number one receiver in the Seahawks. But they moved on from Geno Smith, and now they have Sam Darnold throwing to him. This looks to be like a run first offense that also acquired Cooper Kupp. So JSN, I mean, this price tag, you really don't know what you're going to get with him yet, but the player is very good. You just don't know how he's going to gel with his new quarterback. Brees Hall is a disappointment. Uh, Projected to be the starter for the Jets, but last year he kind of like fell off. Now they have Justin Fields as their starting quarterback. Um, yeah, Brees Hall. I'm not a fan anymore. James Cook, he's doing some contract hold in situation right now, doesn't practice after practicing a little bit. He had the most rushing touchdowns last year, or the most touchdowns, period. But before that, the year before that, he only had two. So it's just he's a very like hard to predict player, but he's an amazing offense, and he's gonna get used. So James Cook on the Bills. What am I doing? All right. T. Higgins, we know who T. Higgins is. No change for him. Garrett Wilson, Jets wide receiver. No real changes there. Now he has Justin Fields throwing to him, so he was like early second round pick. Now he's like a third rounder, fourth rounder. I don't know. Not sexy. You don't know what you're gonna get. Kittle, pretty much like the unanimous third tight end off the board. There's a lot of injuries right now in San Francisco's wide receiver room. Jawan Jennings is hurt. Ricky Pearsall is like a little hurt, but coming back. And Brandon Ayuk does not project to be ready for like half the season. So Kittle is going to be like one of the main guys, Kittle and McCaffrey right now. So Kittle's price is a little high, but I mean, if he repeats what he does last year, he's worth it. Jalen Hurts, nothing changes. Burrow, nothing changes. Devontae Adams now on the Rams. Okay, so he's got a great quarterback throwing to him, and sky's the limit. Good price. But you got to watch out for Matt Stafford's back problems and age. Terry McLaurin um, in the contract holdout, but had an amazing year last year. Kamara. So the Saints are projected to be the worst offense in football. We don't really know who the starting quarterback is going to be. Probably going to be the worst team. Um, but will he just be so highly targeted that nothing matters? Mike Evans, what can we say about Mike Evans? Every year, he's like the Derrick Henry of wide receivers. Um, but you need to know that there's a rookie named Emeka Egbuka, and he was taken pretty high in the draft, and people are very, very high on him. Okay, Emeka Egbuka. So Chris Godwin is like coming back from an injury, and this guy Egbuka looks to be like electric. So he's going to be like a late pick. He's one that I'm very, very high on, and in a very good situation, high usage passing offense. So Evans and Egbuka, eventually Godwin will come back. And they also had this guy, Jalen McMillan, at the end of last season was really good, and they still took Egbuka. So don't forget that name. Omarion Hampton is the second most highly talked about running back that's a rookie. First it's Genty, then it's Hampton. Okay. What you need to know about Hampton is he was drafted by the Chargers, who also traded for Najee Harris, but Najee Harris like fucked his eyes up in a firework incident, and we don't know when he's coming back. Doesn't seem to be anything serious, but Hampton is like a nasty running back. So right now everyone is like all the analysts like are just like, oh, Hampton, Hampton, Hampton. Like they don't this is like the chalky, like obvious rookie pick that like maybe everyone's wrong about, and it still Najee Harris 100% of the time. But Omarion Hampton, you're gonna have to pay like fourth round price for him, but he could be just the starter for the whole season for the Chargers as a running back, and God knows how talented he is. But they drafted him to be like their future guy. So Marion Hampton, Emeka Egbuka, Ashton Genty, Tet McMillan. Okay, we'll get there soon. I think he's probably not far away, but Tet McMillan, Tetaroa McMillan, drafted by the Panthers. Um, he's going to be like their best wide receiver. The Panthers turned it around at the end of last season. Everyone thought Bryce Young was a bust, and then he just started to like win some games, started to put together some drives. If they sustain being decent, Ted McMillan is going to be like a high end wide receiver too. Marvin Harrison Jr. If you took him last year, that was me. You were disappointed. He was only like targeted on the deep ball. He was very frustrating to own, uh, but his price is fair here. Kenneth Walker, every year it's like he's drafted in the same spot. Sometimes he can have big breakaway runs. Sometimes he will not do shit, and he's always hurt. I've had him more than once. I can't stand him. I won't be taking him this year, but when you only have like one good running back and you see his name there, you're like fine, I'll take him. Chuba Hubbard. Everyone thought he was just a guy until he was like extremely consistent running back for the Panthers last year. Connor continues to be very, very reliable. Everyone thought he was gonna. He has like a reputation to be an often injured running back for the Cardinals that just keeps putting up numbers, and he'll keep doing that. And this price is totally fair. DJ Moore. All right, so we need to talk about the Bears for a second. So they got Ben Johnson, who is the Lions' old offensive coordinator, and everyone thinks that the Bears are going to take a step forward. But like word out of camp is Caleb Williams looks like shit. All right, so um, something to watch. You know, we've had this kind of thing happen before, where like someone looks like shit in camp, and then all of a sudden they like put it together 2 weeks into the season, and we're like, oh, we shouldn't have given camp that much like tread. You know, it's bullshit. Don't worry about it. But DJ Moore is the I don't know. I guess you would say he's the best receiver on the Bears. And then there's Rome Odunze, who was a rookie last year. Yeah, he was a rookie last year, and he like did not do as much as everyone thought he would do. But who knows if that's like Caleb Williams' fault or his fault? But he's like way back in the rankings. But yeah, if you want to put your faith in Caleb Williams, DJ Moore is a very high. I like him a lot as a player, but he just keeps finding himself in weird situations. Metcalf goes from the Seahawks to the Steelers, so he's like the lone receiver now for the Steelers, and Aaron Rodgers is going to be throwing to him. Put that together, all right. Rashee Rice, he was like a late second, early third round pick, but now he's probably going to get suspended for several games. Cortland Sutton, he's going to be the lead receiver for the Broncos. Starting, he put together a really, really good season last year with Bo Nix throwing to him. We'll see if that continues. Joe Mixon, fade him. He's injured right now. It doesn't seem to be like a minor injury. That means that like Nick Chubb or Damian Pierce is going to be the starter in the Texans. Let me see. I want to talk about someone interesting. Laporta, you know, had a great first year, bad second year. Will you trust him the third year? You can. All right. Montgomery, a little bit of an injury concern last year, but one of the most reliable. I wouldn't call him a backup running back. He's kind of just like the thunder to the lightning of Jahmyr Gibbs. But I feel like he's like a safe pick at this price. Devontae Smith has the same problems that AJ Brown has. They just don't throw enough, you know? RJ Harvey is another uh, high running back rookie draft pick. So Denver has like J.K. Dobbins, who they picked up in the offseason. Then they have RJ Harvey, who looks to be more of like a receiving back. So, I mean, if anything ever happens to Dobbins, which has happened more than once already, he's like Clay Thompson. Then RJ Harvey will take over. This is like a fair price for him, I guess you would say. Mahomes, he did not play well last year, and he won't have Rashee Rice for a little while. Zay Flowers is going to be coming back from an injury, but he was a disappointment last year. You never know who the Ravens are going to throw to. Xavier Worthy is the biggest beneficiary from the Rashee Rice suspension. He was taken, I think he was the last year. If it wasn't last year, it was the year before. But he's the guy who runs the ridiculously fast 40 time. And towards the end of the season, he became like a very consistent target of Mahomes. So at this price, he's like a very sneaky pick. Jameson Williams, he started to get used more last year. He's like a very talented wide receiver. He's got some like character issues, but should they start to use him more than the Lions, he'll be like the second best wide receiver on the Lions. But there's just so many good players on the Lions. All right. Trevion Henderson. This is another rookie that you need to keep in the back of your head. Okay, so he went to the Patriots. Ramondre Stevenson has been their starter for like a couple of years now, and he's been like disappointing. So this guy Trevion Henderson, if they decide to like quit on Ramondre Stevenson, then you need to like draft this guy Trevion Henderson with like a sixth, seventh round pick. Sneaky stash pick, but he's definitely not like the week one starter right now, but he's one of those guys that like by week six, seven, like he's putting up numbers. All right. Hawkinson, there's nothing to talk about. Whatever. DeAndre Swift, Chicago Bears running back. This is like a decent price for him. There's nothing sexy about him, but he is their starter. Pacheco, um, projected starter for the Chiefs. He was very good. He was like a second round pick last year, got hurt, came back and looked awful. So maybe he's back to normal now, and then he can continue to be like a second round talent. Ted McMillan, I told you about him. He's the Panthers' rookie wide receiver, supposed to be a star. Uh, will he be used like Bryce Young used Adam Thielen? If so, then he's going to be great. Okay. Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones, people don't expect Aaron Jones to be the bell cow on the Vikings right now. They think it's going to be Jordan Mason, who, if you remember last year, was Christian McCaffrey's backup. That once McCaffrey went down, Jordan Mason was like just as great as a fantasy asset as McCaffrey, maybe a little worse, but super consistent. You know, like if you got Jordan Mason when McCaffrey went down, you were not complaining. Um, so everyone really thinks, just like I told you about Omarion Hampton, rookie for the Chargers, everyone thinks that Jordan Mason is like this amazing pick in the late rounds because they don't expect Aaron Jones to hold on to the job. Okay. Kelsey, you know, he's my age. I mean, he's probably going to be highly targeted, but I just don't think he's going to like take any steps after he catches the ball. Mayfield, whatever, you know, new offensive coordinator. Um, Tony Pollard shares with Tajay Spears. Will he continue to be good? I think he's a good value here. Caleb Johnson. All right, so we need to know that Najee Harris left the Steelers to join the Chargers, and now Caleb Johnson is this rookie running back that they think will be like a immediate factor. Jalen Warren is still there, but Caleb Johnson is like a bruiser back. So maybe he'll be like a three down back. We'll see. But I mean, at this price range, he's like a good little buy. George Pickens deserves to go higher than this, in my opinion. I'm very high on George Pickens. I told you that now he's with C.D. Lamb on the Cowboys, and just having that's like the best second receiver that Lamb has ever shared the field with. So that could be like a very, very high potential offense. I think he deserves to go a little higher than this. Travis Hunter, I mean, was the first receiver taken in this draft, but we don't know if he's going to be used as a cornerback. Um, time will tell, but he's a value here. Calvin Ridley, he's like the only good receiver on the Titans. If Cam Ward is able to put it together, then Calvin Ridley is the biggest beneficiary. I'm not really going to talk about anyone else. I'm willing to take questions. I'm trying to see if anyone's interesting. So no one knows who the starter at running back is going to be for the Jaguars. Everyone says it could be Etienne, it could be Tank Bigsby. You could take one or both or none. I think it's something that I'm going to stay away from. Same thing as the Packers wide receivers. You don't know who's going to be the best one. It could be all of them. None of them could be good fantasy assets. I'm leaving it alone. Um, yeah, Tyrone Tracy. He had like a really good year last year as the Giants running back towards the end, but they drafted this guy Cam Scatabo, some white dude, and Scatabo looked really good so far, but he did have like some injury in camp. I don't know if it's major or not. Jalen Waddle, this is a good price for him, but you know he just like can't stay healthy. All right, I'm gonna stop the video now. I just want to just go over a couple things. The rookies you need to know. Okay, you need to know Omarion Hampton, potential Chargers starting running back. You need to know Emeka Egbuka, potential best receiver. Okay, on the Buccaneers with Baker Mayfield throwing to him. You need to know Travis Hunter. We don't really know what his role is for the Jaguars. Trevion Henderson, potential stealing the job on the Patriots for running back. You need to know who am I missing? RJ Harvey, second choice back for the Broncos. If Dobbins goes down, his value goes up. Um, besides that, things aren't too different. Um, you need to be concerned about the injuries to the receivers on the 49ers. You need to be concerned about Godwin's injury, so there's like room for him to grow. Um, if you want to take a risk with Tyreek Hill, his price is a lot better this year, but There's age and character issues and all this shit. You need to know about Ashton Genty. If you have a late first round pick, um, he could be like that next generational back. All right. So if you're like, oh, I don't know if I should take McCaffrey with that risk or this rookie, it'll be tough. Something that I have to think about as well. But if you have any like specific questions, I don't know if I'll get them, but yeah. All right, have a great season, guys. Maybe I'll put out one more video if things change a lot, or if you guys like want me to like stress one thing or another thing. But I feel like I touched on like at least the beginning of the draft. See ya.